The whistle cut the hot air, and the field stopped breathing. Men in brown uniforms froze with hose and buckets in their hands. A guard on a tall horse turned in a slow circle, his shadow long on the dust. One inmate dropped to his knees, clutching his side, a dark red bloom spreading across his shirt. "Keep your line!" someone yelled. This was Angola Prison, the farm, where the ground drinks sweat and stories. Today it felt like it wanted blood. I looked down my row, then up toward the cane, and saw a flash of silver near a boot, then nothing. The day had started like all days here, bell at 4, head count at 5, sky still dark as a closed door. Sam, my bunkmate, whispered, "Head down. Work even. Talk never." The rules were simple and heavy, like the chains we didn't wear but still felt. The trucks rolled. We marched. The mist smelled like old iron. By sunrise the field was a long brown sea, and we were tiny boats pushed by orders. Guards on horseback moved like slow storms along the edge. "Pick to the stake," a voice called, and everybody bent at once. Angola sits on land that once was a plantation, and sometimes it feels like the past never left, just changed uniforms. The soil is rich and stubborn. We cut weeds, cleared rows, and filled bags that bit our shoulders. Sam told me to count my steps to save my breath. 30 to the tree, 30 back, he said. "Keep your count, keep your mind." Far off, a radio clicked. Another row began a low hum, the kind that keeps tired feet moving. No songs here. Just a hush that hangs on everything, like the dust on your tongue. By noon the heat shimmered like water. A new boy, Aaron, stumbled and fell. A guard pointed, and 2 men lifted him to the shade. The rest of us kept working. Work is the river here, it does not stop. I glanced at the far fence. It looked like a zipper on the horizon. Beyond it, the Mississippi slid by, brown and patient. Hayes, an old-timer, said, "The river looks close, but it's farther than a promise." He smiled without joy. A cloud slid over the sun, and for a breath the field felt almost kind. That was when I noticed the smear on the dirt. At first I thought it was oil from a tractor, but machines don't bleed. The smear led toward the cane. Sam's eyes met mine. "Keep pace," he warned. I tried, but my feet aimed for the marks. Smears became dots, dots became sharp toe prints. Whoever made them moved quick and light. A radio crackled louder. "Unit 3, eyes left." A horse turned. The shadow rolled over my row like a wave. The line kept bending and picking, but the space around me felt thin and tight. "Down!" a voice snapped. The row dropped. My cheek hit hot dust and tasted iron. A second whistle cut the air like a bird's cry. Dirt rose in curtains. Through the haze I saw Aaron's cap tumble like a dry leaf. Haze covered his head. Sam grabbed my sleeve. "Do not move," he hissed. Hooves drummed. A rifle safety clicked. Then a sound that didn't belong to dirt or horses reached us, soft metal on metal, the tiny clink of something hitting a shovel blade, then rolling somewhere it shouldn't. The dust settled like a slow curtain. A man stood at the end of our row. He wore our color, carried no tool, and looked too calm. "Hands behind!" a guard shouted. The man didn't move. He glanced at the river fog, then at us, then back to the ground. Something silver winked near his boot. He nudged it under the cane with the side of his shoe. My mouth worked before my brain. "Sir?" I called. "There's something by." Sam's hand closed hard on my sleeve. The horse stepped sideways, and the line of bent backs rippled like a rope pulled from both ends. "Quiet!" The guard's voice snapped the air. The calm-eyed man took one small step back. The radio hissed. "Unit 3 to tower. Situation at row 7. Even the insects seemed to hold their breath. Hayes whispered. "Farm stays quiet." The man's gaze slid to me, steady and tired. In that heartbeat I knew 2 things. He had dropped something sharp, and he wanted it forgotten. The radio answered, flat and cold. "Tower copies. Lock it down." Horses shifted. Another guard angled his mount, blocking the sun. The silver thing glowed for a second, then hid again. Then a scream cut the heat like ice. We turned toward the shade where Aaron lay. His hands pressed his side. The dirt beneath him went dark. The calm-eyed man flinched, just once, like a wire was pulled inside him. Dogs barked near the levee. Radios snarled. "Back to the line!" A guard shouted, but nobody moved. The farm had stopped. Even the river seemed to hold still. The silver lay quiet under the cane, a secret in plain sight. My heart hit hard, like it wanted out. Hayes whispered, "Keep your soul small." Sam just shook his head. I looked down, then up, then back to the cane. If I took 2 steps, I could reach the silver. The sun flashed off a saddle ring, and the field went white for a heartbeat. "Leave it," Sam breathed. "God help us," Hayes said. The calm-eyed man stared through me like I was made of glass. I took one breath, then another, and shifted my foot. "Freeze!" the guard barked. I froze. Wind lifted the cane and made a paper whisper. Then, as if pushed by nothing, the silver rolled out from the shadows toward my boot, and stopped. The silver thing stopped by my boot. The guard's eyes caught the shine before mine did. "Don't move!" he barked, voice slicing through the air. I didn't. The man with the calm eyes still hadn't moved either. A second later, a horse snorted, the sound loud and heavy, and 2 guards rushed forward. One grabbed the object from the dirt. It was just a handle, broken, dull, but even dull things can cut if you're desperate. They cuffed the calm-eyed man and pulled him away. He didn't resist. He just stared at the horizon where the river shimmered. The radio crackled again. Code yellow. Rose secured. The rest of us stayed bent, eyes down. My heart was a hammer. When I looked up again, the man was gone, swallowed by the field. Hayes muttered, "Farm don't forget." Was gone too, taken to the infirmary, they said. Nobody asked more. Sam sat on the bunk, rubbing dust from his palms. "You saw what he dropped," he said. I nodded. "Then forget it. That man's quiet for a reason." I wanted to ask who he was, but the words wouldn't leave my throat. Night came slow. The crickets outside sang like broken clocks. I lay awake, listening to the hum of the fans and the faraway bark of a dog. Somewhere down the hall, a door slammed once, then again. Angola never really sleeps, it just changes its kind of noise. I closed my eyes and saw the calm-eyed man stare in the sun. The next morning, we didn't go to the fields. The guards said there'd been a security issue. Rumors filled the air like gnats. Some said the man tried to cut the fence. Others said it was payback for something that happened weeks ago. Hayes only said, "Farm has ghosts." I didn't know if he meant real ghosts or living ones. Later that day, a new officer came through, a young guy, clean boots, clean uniform, eyes sharp. "Name's Officer Turner," he said. "You work, I watch." Simple. He smiled without smiling. "And you," he pointed at me. "You were near the row yesterday, right?" My mouth went dry. "Yes, sir." He nodded once, slow. "Good. Keep your eyes open." At lunch, Sam leaned close. "That new guard? Don't talk too much. He's got ears like a hawk and hands like the farm." I didn't ask what that meant. We ate in silence, spoons scraping tin trays. Outside, the sun pressed down like a heavy hand. When the whistle blew, it sounded sharper than before, almost nervous. The new work detail was near the far edge of the plantation, the place we called the Dead Row. Not because of bodies but because nothing grew there. The ground was pale and dry, like salt. "Keep your pace," the guard said. The river glimmered in the distance, brown and lazy. Then I saw it, a half-buried wooden sign, letters faded. It said Old Line. Hayes saw it too and muttered, "That's the old fence from before the flood." Turner rode up behind us, his horse kicking up the dust. "See something?" he asked. I shook my head. He stared a moment too long. Good, he said. Keep it that way. He turned and trotted off toward the main line. But Hayes wasn't done staring. Boy, he whispered, that man don't know where he's standing. This here's the edge of the dead ground. That night thunder rolled over the fields. Rain hit the tin roof like 1,000 tiny hammers. Sam was asleep, but Hayes sat upright, eyes open. You think he'll come back? I asked. Hayes didn't answer for a long time. Then he said, if he does, the farm will know first. The wind howled outside. Somewhere, faint and far, a single whistle blew, and kept blowing long after it should have stopped. The whistle that night didn't belong to any guard. It rose through the storm like a lost cry, too soft to be an alarm, too human to be the wind. Sam sat up, blinking in the dark. You hear that? He whispered. I nodded. The rain clattered harder. The whistle came again, longer this time. Hayes was already on his feet, bare toes in the puddle forming on the concrete floor. That ain't a call, he said. That's a warning. The guards rushed down the hallway, radios spitting static. Count check, one yelled. We lined up fast, eyes blinking against the flashlight beams. The officer reading the roster paused halfway. Where's Daniels? He said. No one spoke. Turner's boots splashed as he passed, jaw tight. He's probably in the infirmary, another said, but the look Turner gave said he didn't believe that. Morning brought silence thick as fog. The rain stopped, but puddles shone like mirrors. We were marched back to the field, slower this time. No one spoke, not even the guards. The ground smelled wet and raw. The old sign was gone. Only the hole it left in the dirt remained, water pooled inside it. Hayes stared at it for a long time. The ground here remembers everything, he said quietly. By mid-morning, the heat returned, turning the wet soil into sticky clay that clung to boots. Turner watched from his horse, scanning each row. He looked tired, not the tired of work, but of thinking too much. Keep your lines clean, he called. Sam leaned near me. Something's wrong. They're hiding something. I wanted to ask what, but the answer was already in the way the guards kept checking their radios. During lunch, we sat under the shade of an old oak tree. The breeze smelled like mud and rust. Hayes pulled something small from his pocket, a button, cracked and dark with age. Found this by the fence, he said. From before the prison wore uniforms. He rubbed it between his fingers. Angola's old ghosts don't sleep easy. Sam chuckled softly. Neither do we. Later, Turner approached us quietly. You three, he said. You were near the old line yesterday. Come with me. We followed him toward the main gate, past the kennels and the guardhouse. The air felt heavier with every step. He led us into a small office lined with maps and radio equipment. On the wall, a large photo showed Angola from above, rows of fields shaped like ribs, the river curling like a spine. Turner pointed to one spot. Right there, he said. That's where it started. He pressed play on a recorder. A low static filled the room, then faintly, the whistle sound again. Long, slow, and human. That's from last night, Turner said. It came from the north fields. Nobody's stationed there. Hayes frowned. So who blew it? Turner looked at him. That's what I want to find out. When we left the office, the sky was turning orange. The field shimmered again in the distance, calm but wrong. Sam whispered. Maybe that whistle wasn't for us. Maybe it was for him, the calm-eyed man. I didn't answer. The wind carried the faint sound of frogs from the river. For a moment, everything seemed peaceful again. That night, lights flickered in the hallway. The hum of the ceiling fans slowed. Hayes sat on the edge of his bunk, whispering something I couldn't catch. Then, faint but clear, the whistle again, this time from inside the prison. Turner's voice came through the intercom, sharp and calm. All units stay put. We have movement near cell block D. Sam's eyes met mine. That's the old wing, he said. Nobody lives there anymore. We listened. The sound of the whistle faded, replaced by footsteps, slow, measured, heavy. The lights blinked once more, then went out. The dorm fell into darkness, and in that darkness, I heard Hayes whisper, "The farm's awake again." The lights didn't come back on for nearly a full minute. When they did, everything felt different, like the air itself had changed. Sam sat still on his bunk, staring at the ceiling. Hayes whispered, "The old block's awake. I told you the farm remembers." I didn't answer. The silence was too thick, the kind that eats sound. By morning, the power was steady again, but the guards looked tired, eyes hollow, movements slower than usual. Breakfast was quiet. Even the clatter of trays sounded wrong. Officer Turner stood by the door, arms crossed, eyes scanning everyone. When my turn came, he leaned forward. "You hear anything last night?" I hesitated. "Just the rain," I said. He studied me for a moment, then nodded. "Good. Keep it that way." The day's work was moved inside. We scrubbed floors and repaired pipes beneath the main kitchen. The air smelled of bleach and steam. The sound of dripping water filled the tunnels. Sam worked beside me, scraping rust. "You think it's ghosts?" he asked softly. "No," I said. "Ghosts don't need power outages." He laughed once. "Then maybe the farm just talks in its own way." Turner came by mid-afternoon, carrying a radio. He paused near the tunnel entrance, listening. Then, faint and distant, that whistle again. It wasn't on the radio. It was coming from somewhere behind the walls. Turner's hand went to his flashlight. He looked down the tunnel, eyes narrowing. "That sound," he muttered. "It's been recorded in this place before." Later they locked down the north wing. No explanation. Rumors grew like vines. Someone had been found, someone had escaped, someone had simply disappeared. The truth never came. That night, we ate in silence. Hayes said, "This land don't forgive. It just buries." Near midnight the storm came back. The wind howled over the rooftops, bending the floodlights in arcs of white. From the window, I saw the fields glow under flashes of lightning, empty and endless. Then, for just a moment, I thought I saw a figure walking near the old line. It wasn't a guard. No horse. Just a man moving slow, steady, disappearing into the fog. I couldn't sleep after that. Every creak of the building sounded alive. The pipes groaned, the metal door hinges whined. I sat up and listened. Then, there it was again. The whistle. Closer this time. Not outside. Inside. Sam bolted upright. "You hear it too?" he whispered. I nodded, heart pounding. Turner's voice came over the intercom. "All units stay alert. We've got motion near dormitory C." His tone was calm, but even through the speaker, I heard straying. The hallway lights flickered. Shadows moved under the door. A faint metallic sound, like a tool scraping steel, echoed through the walls. Hayes muttered, "The farm's digging again." When dawn came, the whistle stopped. The sun burned through the fog, making everything seem almost normal again. Turner stood by the gate, radio in hand, staring out over the fields. "Some things don't show up on camera," he said quietly. Behind him, the workers filed out for another day, as if nothing had happened. That night, as we lined up for final count, I looked toward the far horizon. The river glimmered under the moonlight. Somewhere beyond it, maybe, the man with the calm eyes was still out there. Or maybe he was part of the farm now, part of its silence, its breath, its memory. Hayes leaned close and whispered, "Once the farm takes your sound, it keeps it forever." And somewhere in that deep, endless quiet, I thought I heard one last soft whistle fade into the dark. The whistle didn't return the next night, but the silence left behind was heavier. Turner spent the morning walking the perimeter alone, his boots dark with dew. From my window, I watched him stop at the fence, hands on his hips, looking out toward the fog. Hayes joined me. "He's listening," he said quietly. "The farm talks when it's ready." We were sent to clean the chapel that day. It was quiet there, too quiet. Dust danced in the sunlight that streamed through the narrow windows. I found an old Bible on one of the benches. Its pages were swollen from age, the ink blurred. Someone had underlined one verse in red pencil. "The truth shall make you free." Sam knelt to sweep under the pews when his broom hit something hollow. He froze, then lifted the plank. Beneath it, a small tin box, rusted and old. Inside was a folded note, yellow and brittle. It read, "South Field, beneath the oak." Hayes took one look and whispered, "That's the old line again." By sunset, Turner was back. He seemed restless, distracted. "You three," he said. "Come with me." He led us through the back door of the chapel and across the wet grass. The sky was turning orange and purple, the air heavy with the smell of soil. We stopped beneath the giant oak tree. "Dig," he said. The earth was soft from rain. After a few shovelfuls, Sam's blade hit something hard, wood. A small box, maybe a foot long, sealed with wire. Turner crouched beside it, cut the wire, and slowly lifted the lid. Inside lay a handful of old keys, corroded and black with age, each tagged with faded numbers. "Cell D block," he murmured. "These shouldn't exist anymore." We carried the box back in silence. Turner's face was pale. "This place keeps more than inmates," he said. That night, the guards doubled on watch. The wind picked up again, carrying that faint, familiar whistle from somewhere near the D-wing. At midnight we heard movement, footsteps echoing in the old hallway, keys jingling faintly. Turner grabbed his flashlight, running toward the sound. Sam and I pressed against the bars, trying to see. The beam of light flickered through the dust. Then nothing. The sound stopped. Turner's radio crackled with static. Morning came gray and cold. Turner didn't report to roll call. His name was called twice, 3 times. No answer. Hayes didn't look surprised. "Sometimes the farm keeps who listens too close," he said. His words hung in the air like mist. The new officer who replaced Turner said nothing about it. Work continued like nothing had happened. The keys were never mentioned again. But that night, from my bunk, I saw something through the cell window, a faint orange glow from D block, flickering like a candle. Weeks passed. The whistle never returned. The fields grew quiet again, the same old rhythm of work and waiting. But some nights, when the wind blew just right across the river, I swore I could hear faint jingling, like old keys in the dark. Hayes said it best. "At Angola, nothing ever leaves. It just learns to stay quiet." The farm is quiet again, but silence doesn't mean peace. Deep inside Angola, the walls remember everything. If you think the story's over, you haven't heard the last whisper yet. Subscribe, like, and turn on your notifications, because what happens next will change everything you think you know about life inside America's toughest prison.